Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Lighthouse Sessions. I'm excited today. I have my new friend, Chris Carter, with me. Chris, welcome to the show. Tell my audience a little bit about who you are and what you do.
Hey, Jeff, I'm Chris. I am a serial entrepreneur. I'm currently the chairman and CEO for AppRoyo, which is an SAP company. I'm the founder and creator of MugatuAI, which is an AI security-based platform company. I own a bar. I am the minority owner of the Carrick Rangers Irish Football League soccer team. I'm also a minority owner in the XFC, which is a baby company to the UFC. And my final company is Charging Bunny, an EV-based charging company that never pulls any power whatsoever from the grid. At 11:59 every night, we push our extra, we call it extra, power from our battery backups, and we sell it back to the grid in multiple states, counties, cities, and help with our keeping our planet green. That's a lot.
I love it. And that's what I love about this show. I meet people and they say, oh, I'm a serial entrepreneur. And then they list it. It's like, that's more parallel, but yes, serial as well. So when did you realize that you were an entrepreneur, and what was your first venture?
Yes, that's a great question. So what made me and makes me a serial entrepreneur is my first ever of the 17 companies that I've created in my lifetime. The first one was in high school. I had a business class, and the business class was a part of coming up with different ideas and concepts to sell as businesses. Well, I came up with the concept of taking a business card and making it out of plastic vellum instead of this paper. It was plastic. And so I had shop class, I had my business class. And so I went out and I made one whole sheet of the plastic vellum cards, put them in a fishbowl along with about 50 other paper ones. And I sold business cards to the companies right around my high school. And so I would go in there with this fishbowl and I'd say, hey, put your hand in there and let's see if you can pick out a card. And 9 out of 10 times they were picking my plastic one because it felt completely different.
Yeah.
So I sold those those debit cards or business cards. I'm sorry, business cards, not credit. Yeah. I sold those business cards to about 40. I think it was 47 I got up to before I graduated high school. And they loved it. And the great thing for me, there was zero cost for me. It was only my time. I went, I got all the plastic from school. I got all the printing done at school. I did all the marketing and all the promotion as part of my business class. My 2 teachers loved me. I got A's in those classes. And then I graduated and went off to college. And I was playing with Commodore VIC-20s and Apple IIe's because I'm that age. And I literally had to tell those people, I'm sorry, I graduated. I'm going off to college. I'm no longer going to be able to make those business cards for you. But here's who you can talk to. And I handed it down to somebody in one of the classes below me. And that's
so wait. Your first exit, you were in high school.
My first exit was also actually I had just graduated and I had to figure out how these people were going to get more business cards. And so I literally, the last month of school, I printed up probably 200 to 300 cards for each one of them, sold them to them, said, okay, now I'm no longer going to do this. I'm selling or giving the company to this kid. And literally I went from there.
Wow. I love that as a teenager, you were dealing with succession and transition.
It was interesting because I didn't know who I was going to get. I didn't know if I could trust. It was somebody I was a senior. They were a sophomore. They were in the business class. They thought they would be an entrepreneur. And so he and I chit-chatted, and it ended up being him and another individual that would do it. And it was so easy. It was just printing cards.
I love that story. And by the way, my favorite thing on the show is learning people's origin stories because usually it's college and, I got tired of sitting in the classroom and wanted to do something. But I have 2 boys, one's 13, one's 17. And we're talking about what if you didn't have to go to college and drop out? What if you just started a business and skip that part of the shameful part of the founder story.
All the time. Last year I did 53 different speaking engagements at universities around the globe. And I tell these kids all the time, if you are so unhappy in college, think about what you're going to be in the real world. You need to find your passion and you need to go after it. If that means you're leaving college, hey, so be it. But it's because you feel a passion to do something. And it's amazing. I talked to them about AI. I talked to them about entrepreneurship. And my little 1 hour speech goes into these different avenues. And I've actually had young men and women come up to me afterwards and go, I hate being in college. The only reason I'm here is my parents. They're paying and they're footing the bills. And I need to decide. Start a side hustle. Get your side hustle going now. There's enough tools on the internet. You can do just like I'm doing my vibe coding this morning since 6 o'clock this morning. What are you doing 5 to 9 before you start your classes 9 to 5? And then, of course, 5 to 9, you got to do your studies and everything. But what are you doing in the morning? And it's amazing how people are like, well, I'm sleeping. Okay, well, do you need 12 hours to sleep in a day? No. Get your arse up, go work out, go think about what you're going to do and start doing it.
I love it. And I think I'm somehow going to my impact on the world is going to be to make entrepreneurial learning, normalize it, because I think, honestly, when I told my parents I was going to be self-employed, somehow we got to you're unemployed. And I was like, no, I'm self-employed.
Oh, well, that's the difference between their generation and our generation. Their generation, everybody had a job somewhere and everybody's doing something. And they came home. And if the wife was a homemaker, she had a job of taking care of the house and the kids. And then all of a sudden it turned into a 2-income household and everybody was working for somebody else. Well, then all of a sudden the Steve Jobs era came in, and all of a sudden the computer era, and people were like, well, I've got a better idea. And I got a better mousetrap than them. I'm going to build this. And it just, everything keeps going. And it's the conversation that Sam Altman and Elon Musk, somebody's going to find that one thing they're going to build, and they're going to be a solo entrepreneur. And they're all of a sudden going to be the individual that makes $1 billion corporation, and it's only them and their AI tools. And so we're continuously evolving. So your parents at that time, that's all they thought.
Well, it's funny because I grew up in a rural area and they were farmers. And so the dream was, go to university. It was literally Robert Kiyosaki, go to university, get a good job, hang on and get the gold watch.
Yes.
And my entrepreneurial brain went, oh my God, this is hell. It's like
you and me both.
I was counting the days on the wall of my cell till I got out of school.
Yeah, I did not complete school. I literally have, I think it's 13 credits I need to get. I was offered a position with SAP to go work at SAP, and it was either complete the final semester of school or go to SAP Academy and start learning and start growing. And that last semester plus, it was the best thing because I got trained by them. I educated. I had been working as an intern at Coca-Cola, and SAP found me there on their old mainframe in Atlanta, and then we moved to the x86. And I just said, yes, thank you for the opportunity. I'm out of here. And now I could take those 13 credits anytime I want to. They're all online. I could do it.
Yeah.
But I'm having more fun vibe coding, running companies, building things. To me, that piece of paper is great. My daughters have got them on their walls.
Yeah.
I don't. I've created success for others, and I don't feel that I need that piece of paper.
And before I get hate mail from anyone, I just want to say, if you're in school, stay in school.
Yes. Don't leave because of us.
Yeah. Don't, somebody asked me, how does one become an entrepreneur? And I said, a touch of insanity doesn't hurt. But we're also resilient as hell. So, we can take rejection. We can get, what other people would call colossal failures, we call a Tuesday and experience, right?
At times, yes. And I know you and I were talking before we started recording. That's my biggest failure. I had a colossal failure thanks to one of the largest companies on the planet, Siemens Global. Literally the week before the end of the year, they sent an email to us with an Adobe document from one of their procurement people, said, you need to cut your rates by 65%.
Ooh.
Or unfortunately, we're going to cancel our contract. And I had probably 30 people staffed up at their company for their SAP activities and working on them. And then they went off and they said, okay, well, I can't do it and I can't. So I had to let go of a whole host of people right before the beginning of the year. And then they were the biggest egg in my basket and it just crushed us. And lo and behold, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Okay. But it was also a massive learning activity for me. Learn, don't put all your eggs in one basket. A, don't, and B, don't trust anybody. We had literally had a conversation with their team probably a week or 2 weeks earlier about growing into next year, the things we need to do next year. And they literally just bold-faced lied to me in that. So never again.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing I would say about entrepreneurs is, number one, we find the mess in somebody else's world and we go, I bet you, your story about business cards, I bet you I can solve this better, cheaper, whatever it is. And then we also, when we have adversity, we take it on the chin, we sulk a little, we lick our wounds, and then we go, okay, well, that sucked. How do I learn from this and move forward? So let's talk about, so we've talked about when you fell on your face, and, I'm sure that's a deep, dark story, and I'm sure there was a lot of pain involved. But honestly, I think the best entrepreneurs came through chaos and survived, and inevitably become serial entrepreneurs, because we're always looking for the pain that other people go, God, that's annoying, somebody should fix it. And somehow we hear that and go, why not me?
Oh, absolutely. That's why I've got 2 of those companies right now. So MugatuAI is in all regards to AI-based security. Everybody's at home since COVID. Everybody works at home or they work remotely. I travel probably 30 weeks out of the year. So I'm constantly on the road and I'm using AI-based tools. Well, what are you doing for security around those tools when you're not in the office? And how do you monitor them and maintain them? And people that have no idea. So that's what that one is. And the second one, Charging Bunny, it was Elon Musk started taking away some of the charging stations, and you've got other charging stations out there. And it came to me while I was at one of my customers out in Phoenix, Arizona. I literally said, God, you got a lot of parking space out there. Why do you have those roofs on there? Oh, it's so the cars don't fade. So, will you do anything for charging or for EV? And he goes, no, not really. I said, you could really line up the EV charging capabilities on top of those charging. No big deal. Well, I saw that and I was like, okay. So I started doing the research on what are the best capable and the most dense charging panels that you could possibly do, that you could use and leverage. And lo and behold, started doing my research, started finding them. And now I can have those in literally any state, country, city, county, wherever you want. And the fact that we don't need to pull anything, that was the engineering part. It was never being able to pull from the grid. It's a one directional, it's never bi-directional. And I think that's important for activities. And it fit a little tiny gap. Now, is it going to be $1 billion entity? Who knows, it could be. But it fits a gap where you still have EV capabilities and you can use them at your homes if you so desire because of the battery backup technology. And everything, just as you said, here's something I saw a little issue. Let's fix this little issue. Let's do this. The bar one was because I like bourbon and I don't have enough bourbon up here where I live. So I was like, screw that. I'm going to get a wall of bourbon. And now I've got a wall of over 200 different bourbons on it, and I can sit there and drink. And anytime I want to with friends and neighbors, and so everything is about solving a problem.
I love it. And, it's funny because one of my friends, we were discussing the purpose of business. And, the obvious one that we both agreed on first was, the purpose of a business is to make money for the shareholder. Because if you don't make money, it's a hobby. Let's agree. But at the heart of it, it's solving the problem for somebody who's willing to pay for it. And one thing I'm absolutely fascinated by, the people who I would call visionary entrepreneurs, or as you say, the serial entrepreneurs, always have some weird obsessive collection hobby, and they find a way to turn it into a business to justify it.
Well,
I'm not kidding. You with your bourbon.
So I've got a bourbon problem. I'm not going to tilt my camera down because there's probably 1,000 sports cards down here right now that I've been going through to get ready for auctions and selling. I probably have over 1 million different sports cards, everything from Mickey Mantle all the way through Shohei Ohtani's and everything. So I have that sort of a problem. Yes, literally right now I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different pairs of glasses because I love my glasses. And hey, you know what? You can never have too many Google glasses or Meta glasses. So why not get not only one blue pair, but then one pair that's just strictly for outside for sunglasses.
Of course.
Yeah, because that's what exactly everybody has.
It is fascinating to me. I have a friend who he bought a farm in Atlanta. He's from New York, and he wanted to grow this specific kind of tree. The name escapes me, but they grow quickly. He bought the land to offset carbon. He wanted to be a carbon neutral, so he bought this land. And then he was like, I really like Airstream trailers. So then he started collecting them. And to justify it, he turned his farm into an Airbnb sort of place. And then, of course, being an entrepreneur, God, I hate waiting in line at the airports. So he bought himself a jet. And next thing I know, he's leasing it out to airlines and pilot schools, flight training. And so now for every time somebody sits in the plane, he's getting paid by the airline to get the pilot the hours and the flight instructor for the use of the plane. And I'm like, is there anything you can't monetize? Like he just, and the only thing I know of right now he hasn't monetized is he's got a car collection. And he's like, these are my babies. Nobody's touching them.
Yeah, that was a problem of mine. I had a car collection as well. And then I decided to open up that pub and kiss that puppy goodbye. And
But I do find it fascinating that we see opportunity where other people see problems.
Yeah, that's the way I'm wired. I see somebody says, oh, I've got this problem, this problem, this. I look at it and say, okay, well, how can I fix that? Just like the app this morning, I was thinking about some different things, and lo and behold, came from a conversation from yesterday.
Yeah. It's funny, when I was little, I was probably about 10 years old. We took a trip to Phoenix, and me being from Canada, I had no idea how hot blacktop gets in Phoenix. And I started off barefoot from the hotel room to the pool, and somewhere third step, my feet started cooking. So me being me, I just ran. By the time I got to the pool, the bottom of my feet were like red, and I'm going to say medium rare. They were cooked. Oh. And most people are like, oh, you should have wore shoes. And I'm like, there's got to be another way.
It's got to be a better way with that.
But yeah, I've been breaking perfectly good things since I was a kid, trying to figure out how they work. And, I once built a tricycle out of an old tricycle, and all I did was take all the parts off and rebuilt it. But I used a frame from a bike. And
oh, very cool.
I was like, oh, I just invented the tricycle. Yay, me.
Yay.
But, it was a Frankenstein tricycle. I'm going to be honest. It was salvaged parts. And
it's phase 1. Of 2, yep. Of 3, of 4. And that's a great thing with things that we're working on and doing. Hell, I'll work on this thing for several days, and I'll go through different versions and different activities with it, and I'll send it off to friends and family and staff, and hey, play around with this version, give me some ideas. And that's the great thing. We're always tinkering. We are tinkers. And so we will continue to tinker versions 1 through whatever.
Well, it's funny because I look back and I'm like, oh my God, I was an inventor even as a kid. But I can vividly remember my tricycle because I agonized over wheels and stuff. And I had no metalworking skills. So it was actually built out of raw lumber.
Oh, very cool.
So I built a tricycle. I stole the seat off of another bike and I stole the wheels off various farm equipment pieces. But because it was wood and I made it too tall, it was very wobbly. So I'm like, okay, not a bicycle. Today it's a tricycle.
I love it.
And when I proudly showed my dad, he's like, you just reinvented the tricycle. And I went, yay, me. And no, that wasn't his reaction. But it's like,
do you know how much that would cost us, young man?
It was all salvage, for the record.
Okay.
It was like your high school project. My childhood projects were all salvage. I was, I knew my way around a farming community. I'd go to neighbors and say, hey, can I go to your junk pile? And that was back in the days when you just throw junk out in the field and nobody cared. And you just,
sure.
as long as you asked, help yourself. Now, let's talk about what you do. So now you travel a lot, and you mentioned you're away 30 weeks of the year. So what kind of things are you talking about in universities? And we'll get into this because I want to hear that there's hope for the future, that there's young entrepreneurs out there. So what are you talking to these kids about?
Well, first, let me answer that piece. Yes, there are young entrepreneurs out there. I see them and talk to them every week. So what I'm talking about is I'm literally, I wrote 17 different books. And those books deal with SAP, cloud computing, security and cybersecurity, and AI activities mostly. And so, and actually, they're right up there behind those trophies. I was very here. I actually have a bunch of them in a box. I just got a box full. Books that I'm sending out to folks who register on my LinkedIn. And they're all free. I give them away free to when I speak. Students, when I speak to them, I talk to them about a number of different topics, depending upon what the advisors or the schools want me to talk about. Could be about what is the benefits of AI. My newest one that I'm going out there is, has AI fudged up your brain? The work-life balance of the future with AI.
Yeah,
that's a new one. I'm talking about LLMs, SLMs. I'm talking about how to leverage AI to build a company, how to leverage AI for you in your workplace, how bigger, better, faster, stronger human beings will lead to bigger, better, faster, stronger AI. And so I'm constantly evolving different conversations. And then I talk with the different advisors of what they would like to see. And then at the end, I always put in some type of little tag. You too can be an entrepreneur. You don't have to be the one that sits behind the desk, as you said earlier, getting the gold Rolex after 20 years.
Yeah.
Create side hustles. Take your passions and build them out. If you're a tech monkey like I am, and all you're doing is, you're never going to get anywhere fast. But take that initiative as being a tech monkey, use tools, and now take yourself to the next level or multiple levels and become the founder of your own company.
I'm going to share a couple of things because I think it's funny. I'm either raising amazingly well-prepared kids or I'm screwing them up permanently. I hope it's the first. But I've been telling my boys over and over, if you think about any job in history, the people who use their hands and their back, they are always paid the least. And I say, you want to be the person who controls the capital, controls the means of distributing it. It's the ones who work with their minds and leverage it, I think, that get the most out of it and create the best opportunities. But they're also being raised, and my wife thinks I'm a little nuts. I believe that a solopreneur can and will build $1 billion company. And maybe, okay, let's not split hairs and say it's got to be purist, it's just you or me. It's going to be a small, highly leveraged team.
Agree.
And what I'm seeing right now with ClaudeBot, or whatever it's called today, a Moltbot, or it terrifies me that vibe coding has become so popular without any consideration for the consequences or the safety. But honestly, I think what we're going to see is the day-to-day coding is going to vanish, and you're going to have this new class of experts who are going to look at it and say, you're vulnerable and here's where.
Exactly. Well, that's why I'm building this app, to be able to talk about the vulnerabilities of the AI tools that they're using. Where are they giving out information? Is there an address in there? Is there a social security number? Is there HR information? Where and what is that? And that's all what this code is that I'm playing with right now. So somebody else is thinking about it. Thank you.
And it's I have several friends in cybersecurity, and one of my fascinations is that most risk, most threat is not some outside third party. It's Bob in HR or Bob in accounting that clicks buttons and says, sure, I'll do that.
It really is. And that's part of my philosophy, and that is, inside those four walls, there is more harm being done than outside those four walls.
Yeah. And I think that's, you and I can talk about AI all day, but the thing that terrifies me, and again, we'll figure out this because we're entrepreneurs, and the fact that Altman just acquired, what is it, Moltbot? I can't even remember. It's Molt. Let's call it Moltbot.
Yep.
It's clear he broke a lot of things and he got a lot of backlash for it, but he also was trying things. And I think we're going to see the need, because with vibe coding, you don't need to know what your system's accessing. You just need to know that it is. We're going to need that layer of security, and the people who think about it and go, okay, you realize you exposed this over here. Did you know it comes over here? And oh, there goes your API and your private keys out on the internet.
Correct. That's exactly what I've been thinking about. And one of the things I put in there is I put in there a world map where your data goes, depending upon the map. It's just showing little geographic plat map. Your data went from Wisconsin to Chicago. Oh, then went all the way to Las Vegas because it's sitting in Switch at that facility. Oh, and then from Switch, went all the way to London and then Dublin, and then
made a stop in Dubai, and it's got more air miles than I do.
So it's going to show where that information is going and who's touching it. Now, I could get really granular and have the logos of every third-party company pop up, and all of a sudden, holy shit, there's one of my competitors. What is my competitor doing with my data? How does my data go through that? Oh, it's because they're both in Switch and they're on the same network. But I'm not going to go that crazy on it than the first version.
Well, it's funny because I think most people, they're like, oh, I run it on my computer, so it's safe. And it's like, no, when you're out on the internet, there's no expectation of privacy. I'm sorry, but it's like going to a public park and doing lewd things. You're going to get in trouble.
Yep. 100% agree.
So I think that's interesting. But I do, I've believed this for about a year, maybe two, but I feel like, if you look at the valuations, and by the way, people go, oh, you're never going to make $1 billion. And I'm like, no, I don't need to make $1 billion. It's the $1 billion valuation. So
that's what I'm looking.
Where do you add the value? And between you and me, and I'll share this because somebody in my audience will figure it out, most cybersecurity companies struggle with manning. So they have staff shortages and complexity because, again, there's an entire world of threat actors who literally make their living trying to break stuff.
Yes. If we can stay one step ahead, great. But we have to stay that 1 or 2 steps ahead, because if we start to fall back in any way, shape, or form, these bad actors in these other countries, or even our country, these bad actors are going to get it, and we're going to be, it's going to be horrible.
Well, and for what it's worth, I think Hollywood has done a huge disservice, because there's always this myth of the teenage hacker in Austin who's busy trying to hack the Pentagon. And, I still remember War Games with Matthew Broderick.
And shall we play a game, Jeff?
Yeah. And the thing is, it's Bob in HR who's clicking on a link, but we live in an age where it's very well known that Russia, China, North Korea, they're state actors in this game. And, the average small business, we can't compete with whatever resources Russia's throwing at hacking. And, if they can breach, there's a big breach yesterday. It was in Alberta, so it's very specific, but our student loan program got hacked, and literally it's minor details like your tax return, your social insurance number, your date of birth. Literally, I was like, oh my God, that is identity theft 101 kit.
Bingo.
And every student in the province of Alberta who has attended post-secondary education with financial student loans, that ripple is going to be huge.
Millions.
Which, by the way, there's another industry of cleaning up that garbage. But
yes, there is. It's a full-on industry.
Yeah. But it's just fascinating to me that, we try to prevent, and, a friend of mine, we talk about most cybersecurity is lockdown and prevention, but no matter how good your hardware and software is, it's always somebody clicking something they shouldn't.
Right. 90% of the time, it's one of those links that come in. Oh, this is coming from, well, they don't check the email addresses. They don't check. Yeah. They're so busy with their 9 to 5 trying to get things done because we're trying to push.
Well, it's funny because I actually did some research, and what I wanted to do was give a trust score to incoming emails.
Oh.
Well, across the board, the feedback I got was that it caused microsecond delays, and that was unacceptable. And I was like, oh God, you are going to eat those words.
Yeah, microsecond delays. Well, that's like people telling me nowadays, we have this conversation when it comes to, what is it? From LLMs to SLMs, and how the Chinese are using, instead of using NVIDIA chips, they're using our secondary and third grade style chips. They don't care about the millisecond. They care about the second. And what they also do is they built these, instead of boiling the ocean of everything inside, what they do is there's a built-in way with their LLM that it instantly segments the data and only goes after our trees green. Well, let's check those. Nope, that's an ocean. That's blue. This is a flower. Nope, trees, boom, green. Yep. And so that you see companies in Silicon Valley now are using those open source tools, and they're using the Chinese-based AI solution sets from an open source rather than the US based, because all the US does is we throw infrastructure at it. We throw high-end chips and infrastructure. And that's great. But now we've hit that plateau. Now you got to start working on what is your true LLMs and SLMs. Yeah. And then don't get me started about data center costs and how the United States doesn't want to build data centers. And you get these my God, I'm just.
Yeah, data centers are fascinating because.
Let's use this. This is what we want to do.
Yeah. So for what it's worth, I told you earlier about my $200 laptop that's about 6 years old. I built a working LLM on it. Now, probably it would count as micro because I think it had 10 billion parameters or something. But the biggest thing, and that was my lesson, heating and cooling are going to be the biggest problems.
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I scalded myself on the bottom of that laptop, and I went, just because I can do this doesn't mean I should. But, my prediction is some kid, let's go back to Steve Wozniak in his garage. Some kid is going to take all of the computers that Microsoft obsoleted last year with their upgrade to Windows 11, and they're going to plug them together in their garage, and somehow they're going to put a solar panel on the roof, and they're going to build a private LLM that just does what it's supposed to do. Not, it's going to be a specialist tool for a specialist thing. Forget video, audio, everything. It's going to do one thing well. And that kid is going to be richer than God, because everybody's going to be going, oh, we were shooting for the moon and we just wanted to get to Wisconsin.
Yes, exactly. Yes. We don't have Wayne Gretzky here or Mark Messier or few, but we do have cold weather, and we also have in summertime nice cool breeze coming up the lake. So it's perfect for data centers. That's what we need, is to be able to be, boom, I want everything in this box. That's it. And it's important. I think it's important that we get there sooner than later.
Yeah. And I think that's when I get into data centers, I fascinated, because it's all about heating, cooling, and powering. And, there's geothermal and there's risks with that. And, I love the closed loop, but what people don't recognize is how fast that stuff is evolving. I mean, it's, a data center 10 years ago would not be built today.
No, not at all. Well, that's one of the things I'm talking to a company about, retrofitting older data centers that have now become obsolete and are on the market or just sitting around not being used. Okay, well, think about some of the things that you can do. 90% of what you need is there. Now you need to fix the other 10%. And if you can do that, go around the country and start buying up older data centers and just fixing them for that last 10%, you are going to be so further ahead. And then you focus on the LLM structure and what you're doing in there.
You heard it here first. Free business idea from Chris. I can see the reality show too. Fix my
data center.
Love it or list it, data center edition, something like that.
Love it or list. Oh, they are fantastic. I love those two. Oh.
But it's funny, because a good entrepreneur takes other people's garbage and problems. And I have another guest I'm interviewing. He made a fortune on dog waste removal, and I'm like, "Is your tagline we get shit done?" But entrepreneurs are willing to touch the stuff that most people go, "Ooh." So,
agree.
Now, Chris, I could talk to you all day. You are a great guy. You're fascinating. I will be mindful of your time. I'll be a good little podcast host. Where can people go to connect with you? Where are your books available? How can they book you as a speaker?
Well, thank you, Jeff. First thing is go to my LinkedIn. Well, actually, the first thing you should do is probably go to my ChristopherMCarter.com website. My LinkedIn's on there, my personal details. All the information about my books are on there, which are on Amazon. I'm very blessed that folks have read them. I'm a 4-time best-selling author, courtesy of those. And then you can tag me. There's emails. There's all this stuff. It's my speaker page. And I literally go anywhere in the world to speak, because I love speaking. I love traveling. I love eating. And I love drinking. So they all fit into what I do.
There's a nice bucket. I'm sure if there's anybody in Kentucky, it is kind of the home of bourbon. So
that
maybe
Lexington ride is wonderful. But my favorite whiskey is actually out of a company called Garrison Brothers, and it's down in Texas, small little town in Texas. They've won some phenomenal. The Nancy and Dan Garrison are phenomenal people. And it's simply wonderful stuff. So I highly recommend that. But yeah, that's where you find me. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Let's get a coffee or a bourbon together wherever I am in the world. And let's do that sometime.
I love it. Now, I'm going to ask my favorite question here. Knowing what you know, you've been through a few rounds in life. If you could go back and whisper in your teenage self's ear as you're scrounging for your class and, kind of figuring it out, what's one thing you wish you could tell yourself?
The one thing that I wish I could tell myself is maintain your health. Health is so important with all of us, and I know it's not technical, but it is to a degree technical. If we maintain better health as human beings, we are so much happier. We're so much more vibrant. We're we're able to do more things with our families, our friends. We're able to do different things with it. Sitting in these chairs all day long is horrible. So take care of your health a little bit more. I've recently blown up to 300 pounds, so I'm working on my health again. And that would be the number one, I think. From a technical standpoint, the number one thing I would do is, Chris, you need to keep your skills sharp. You don't have to code and do stuff every day, but keep up every quarter, every month, every year. Keep up with your skills. Stay relevant, not only from as a CEO and an entrepreneur, but also as an individual that I can sit down and I can vibe code with other people, and I can code with other people. Those would be my two.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and for hanging out with me today, Chris.
Oh, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. And I do hope you guys win another. No, let's go USA. USA.
I love it.